Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm Judge Executive David Vogel. Happy to have you here today on the 6th day of February. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you brought a cell phone with you to today's meeting, please turn it to off or vibrate. Ask our clerk, Sheila Fair, to please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Leslie. Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon.
Here.
Judge Vogel.
Here, having 8 of the 9 members of the Fiscal Court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda? Are there any additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Now we'll read our minutes from the last meeting we had, and I'll ask our clerk to please do that.
January 3rd, 2018. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a special meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Bob Leslie, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Kevin Eldridge, and Bob Dye. Magistrate Logsdon was absent at time of roll call. His arrival time to the meeting is noted in the minutes. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the agenda as submitted, moving Sheriff Merit Board appointment after the first public comment. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the meeting minutes of January 9th. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Vogel asked for the minutes to reflect Magistrate Logsdon arrival to the meeting at 2:05. Public comment. Megan Sherwood presented information relating to a community needs survey for older adults in Oldham and surrounding counties, being conducted by the University of Louisville and KIPTA Area Agency on Aging and Independent Living. Call 852-8953 for more information. Sheriff Merit Board appointment. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Bob McHugh to the Sheriff Merit Board with a term to expire February 4th, 2020. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Vogel administered the oath of office to Mr. McHugh. Clerk's Office 2018 budget. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the Clerk's 2018 budget as presented. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Dye voted no. Clerk's Office 2018 annual order setting maximum salaries. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the Clerk's 2018 annual order setting maximum amounts for deputies and assistants. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Dye voted no. Payables. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Tice to approve the payables. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Greenwell voted no. Budget and fund transfers for fiscal year 18. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the line item transfers as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the transfers between funds. Motion carried unanimously. Community business. Second reading for the zoning map amendment at 2701 Cedar Point Road. Senior Planner Brooke Vieman presented for second reading proposed ordinance number KOC 17-920-438 relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map, rezoning a 32.7 acre tract located at 2701 Cedar Point Road in LaGrange from the existing R2 residential zoning classification to R2A residential zoning classification. Attorney Tanner Nichols, 400 West Market Street, Louisville, representing the applicant, Billy Dolker, Key Homes, provided an introduction and testimony in support of the application for zoning change. Kevin Young, Land Development and Design, 503 Washburn, Louisville, spoke on behalf of the application. Applicant Billy Dolker, Key Homes, and Buckner provided testimony in support of the application. Judge Vogel asked those wishing to speak in opposition of the application to stand and be sworn in. Martha Heminger, 1400 Cedar Point Road, spoke in opposition of the application. Ed Carden, Meadow Way, LaGrange, spoke in opposition of the application. Mary Harding, Cedar Point Road, LaGrange, was sworn in and spoke in opposition of the proposed ordinance. The applicant, Billy Dulker, and representatives Tanner Nichols and Kevin Young responded to questions raised during the opposition's testimony. Fiscal Court asked questions of the applicant. Discussion followed. The applicant, applicant's representatives, and the following staff members responded to questions and provided additional testimony: Jim Urban, Director of Planning and Development; Brooke Vieman, Senior Planner; and Scott Harris, County Engineer. Mr. Cardin provided additional testimony and rebuttal on behalf of the opposition. Both applicant and opposition were given the opportunity to make closing remarks. Attorney Nichols spoke on behalf of the applicant. There being no further testimony, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to adopt ordinance KOC 17-920-438 relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map, rezoning the 32.7 acre tract at 2701 Cedar Point Road from R2 residential to the R2A residential zoning because it complies with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The R2A zoning allows for creation of a different residential product, and there have been major changes of an economic, physical, or social nature within the area. Discussion followed. There being no further discussion, Judge Vogel asked for a roll call vote. Motion carried 6-1 on a roll call vote. The following magistrates voted yes: Likens, Greenwell, Hounds, Eldridge, Dye, and Logsdon. Magistrates Leslie and Tice voted no. Judge Vogel abstained. Judge Vogel called for a brief recess, hearing no objection. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to resume the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Vogel asked for minutes to reflect Magistrate Leslie's early departure from the meeting at 4:51 p.m. Contract agreements and resolutions for Old Floydsburg Road right-of-way. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to authorize the Judge Executive to sign resolution number 0101-2318 relating to ownership and maintenance of the right-of-way purchased for the Old Floydsburg Road Safety Project. Motion carried unanimously. Resolution for the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety Traffic Enforcement Grant. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to authorize the Judge Executive to sign resolution number 0201-2318 relating to a KOHS grant to allow additional hours of traffic safety enforcement in Oldham County. Motion carried unanimously. Board appointments. Health Taxing District Board. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to reappoint Dr. Tracy Ragland to the Health Taxing District Board with a term to expire December 31st, 2019. Motion carried unanimously. Code Enforcement Board. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to reappoint Mark Allen to the Code Enforcement Board with a term to expire January 20th, 2021. Motion carried unanimously. Board of Adjustments. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to reappoint Rob Houchins to the Board of Adjustments with a term to expire January 1st, 2022. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to appoint Ron Funk to the Board of Adjustments to fulfill Mike Allen's unexpired term through January 17th, 2019. Motion carried unanimously. Second public comment, none. Announcements. Magistrate Dye stated KYTC road crews will be patching potholes on I-71 North this evening from 7 p.m. to midnight between the Jefferson County-Oldham County line and Oldham County-Henry County line. Expect delays. Magistrate Eldridge expressed his condolences to Jerry Wisdom and his wife for their loss. Judge Vogel announced fiscal court meetings will be back on track starting February, the first and third Tuesdays of the month. He stated the county is working with state legislation to get funding for off-ramps on bridges and for an addition to the Oldham County Courthouse. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 5:02 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from February 6th. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved. Second.
Are there any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when anyone who would like to address the fiscal court about an item of community interest is able to do so. We allow 4 minutes for each speaker, and our first speaker here today is Becky Zockline.
Hello, Judge. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I have a gift for everyone, a litter bag for your car. Litter on Oldham County's roadsides is, just doesn't seem to be abating, litter abatement grant. But I have 71 groups that have volunteered to pick up litter along the roadsides. They work very hard. They collect mountains of garbage every year, and still, we have pretty bad roads. I know right now, Magistrate Greenwell has brought Highway 53 to my attention. It's pretty bad. We've already had our first crew go out this past weekend and just cleaned up 7 miles, and there were enough bags to reach your desk, the top of your desk. So it's pretty significant. So I've come up with a new idea this year. I am challenging all my groups to make anti-littering videos. And they'll be like public service announcements. They'll be broadcast on YouTube through our Facebook page and on OCTV. And they will first be voted on and by popular vote. So people can vote as many times as they want for these videos, which is fine because I want them to be viewed. And then there will be a panel. The top 10 groups will be judged by a panel of judges this coming August. So the rules have been sent out to all my littering groups, or my litter pickup groups, and I'm pretty excited. So just want to let you know, and I'm going to hand out these bags, and please use them. And these bags were purchased with Kentucky Pride grant funds. And so, courtesy of the state.
Thank you. Becky, do you have a place where these bags will be available? People would like to get them.
They will be available, I believe you have some available in your office, and there's some in the planning and development suite.
All right. So
Okay.
we got a pretty good supply of them?
2,000.
1,000, all right. Well, we'd like to.
I hope to have some for Oldham County Day.
Right, good, all right. That
All right,
sounds
thank
good.
you.
All right, take that one with you
Yeah.
there. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Judge, how are y'all? A member of this court. Today, I just want to kind of talk about, we'll talk a little bit of update on the jail. But before I do that, actually, I'm here today to talk about another agency. If you don't know, we moved into the new facility. We moved in on January the 27th. And I will tell you, the planning session prior to us moving about 130 inmates into the new jail, we sat down and worked out all the details on how we were literally going to move inmates from point A to point B. We kind of coined the phrase shipping and receiving. So we kind of packaged up the product on the shipping side, and we were on the receiving end. But the person I want to mention today, because you cannot do this type of move. It was impossible, even with my staff, to be able to successfully make this move. And my shout out today goes to Sheriff Steve Sparrow and his special deputies led by Scott Childers. We were able to work with Steve and work with Scott. Steve was able to provide chase vehicles. So when we did this, actually on this particular move, we started about 6:30 in the morning and literally made the physical move by 1:30 in the afternoon. Steve, and through Scott and some of the special deputies, they provided chase vehicles on the front end and on the back end of every trip that we made. So again, that's why I wanted to stand here today and make sure that I mentioned that with Steve. I also want to mention Officer Flynn with the County Police Department, Officer Richens from the LaGrange Police Department. They provided drug dogs for us because that was all part of the process of us trying to control contraband issues that might, go from one area to the other. And obviously, and then I'll switch over and talk to you all about give you a quick update on the jail. But, it just makes you feel good when you have county agencies working together, and even LaGrange City with Officer Richens, to get something accomplished. And again, I know Steve's here in the room today. Steve, again, thank you very much for your help and your staff, because without them, we probably couldn't have done it. And it actually went off without a hitch. That's the good news. The bad news, we're running into some issues. Today, I think we're 10 days in. I told somebody the other day when we hit the 6-day window, most of you all have seen that program 60 days in. Well, we were 6 days in. So it was, obviously, we're going through some growing pains. As we're finding these things out, Judge, I know you and I have talked a little bit. I've talked, with Kevin, Nuss, and we're troubleshooting and getting them done. We had a pretty good-sized issue last night concerning the sewer issue, but I'm sure Kevin has said that. But I think we've got our hands on that. I will tell everyone, again, Judge, I think you've got this on your calendar, our last project meeting, and Master Dow, I think it was February 22nd. So my hope is, excuse me, I got a frog. My hope is that we identify all the issues and have them fixed by that February 22nd meeting. Again, it's been a challenge. The staff are doing, to me, a phenomenal job. Again, they were in part of this move. It was all hands on deck. Again, from up here, processing them and getting them down there, and as I mentioned, with Steve's help. So I'm just going to say, hey, we're there. We're going to continue to move forward as we're working out some of the issues. Our video visitation, some of our technology. We've got some more people coming tomorrow, Judge. Hopefully we'll troubleshoot and get those issues done, and get ourselves ready to move to the next phase. So if there's any questions from the court, I'll be glad to answer any questions or concerns. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You've got more things on the agenda besides me.
When are you
Mr.
accepting-
Likens?
When are you accepting more guests into your jail, and when will you be full?
5 days in, I received a call from the Department of Corrections and wanted us to take 50. I couldn't do it. I told them, I said, there's no way, we're not ready yet. Obviously, there are people out there. They're ready to go. And with every agency, whether it's the state, they're ready to ship people now. Our federal, we can take some federal people, and obviously everybody on the court knows that we have the contract with immigration. There's still some things we have to do that. We have to literally pass an inspection, and their inspection is totally different than the Department of Corrections. Before we switch over from a 72-hour holding, now, we're already still doing that. We were doing that at the old jail. So we're making ice runs and picking up inmates, dropping inmates off. We're doing that right now. But for us to become their full service, we have to pass their inspection. I've had 2 meetings with them on site since we've been in the new jail, giving us what we have to do to ramp some things up. Once we pass the inspection, then we'll become their full service facility in this area. I know, Judge, you've talked with Sean, and you kind of know where we stand on that. And I think maybe even Master Dye maybe have had some comments with him. So we're getting there. Hopefully we'll start ramping things up, maybe by the end of the month.
Thanks,
We'll see.
Mike.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Mike, appreciate
Okay.
it. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Good afternoon, Judge, Magistrates, Ms. Fair. I just wanted to remind everybody that this Saturday, February 10th, at 9 a.m. in this room, we're going to have a public meeting regarding the update of the zoning ordinances that we've been working on along with the Study Review Committee for about the last 8 months. This is another segment of regulations that we're bringing forward to the legislative bodies who have ultimate say-so on their adoption. After the public meeting, we'll go to the Planning Commission in its February meeting, and I expect that they will pass on these recommendations. We'll have a Study Review Committee meeting first, then if there are any comments that we have to address, and then the Planning Commission and ultimately the legislative bodies. The 4 subject matters that we're going to be presenting are school capacity, landscape regulations, short-term rentals, and height restrictions and commercial zoning classification. So again, this Saturday, 9 o'clock, February 10th, here in this room, till about 11 o'clock or so, or as long as people want to stick around.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court here today? Seeing no one, I'm going to close this part of the meeting and public comment. Go on to the first item here, and that's the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police accreditation recommendation or recognition for the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Judge. Before we do this, can I say something to Mike?
Yes.
Mike Simpson, thank you so much, buddy. Very sweet, very nice of you. Thank you. Yes, sir. And now, what I want to make a point of is, that's the way we work together in Oldham County. We work with each other. We always have, always will. And it's just it's a great feeling that we have each other to help out. So,
Okay.
thank you, Judge.
Sure, our pleasure.
Yes.
Now,
Well, thank you. My name is Sean Butler. I'm the accreditation manager for the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police, and Judge and Magistrates, thank you for allowing us to come today to recognize the sheriff and his office in what we feel is a fine achievement. This is their third time to go through the program for accreditation, their third time to be reaccredited in itself. A little bit about the program. I know you're busy, so I'll keep this brief. There's
I
107.
might, Mr. Butler, our audio or acoustics aren't the greatest in here, so I ask you to project so everyone in the
Okay. My
back of the
apologies,
room
Judge.
can hear you okay.
A little bit about the program. There's 171 standards, and there's multiple substandards in the program. We take a look at all of their policies, all of their procedures. We do audits on their evidence room. We take a look at their financial end, and we take a look at how they run their office in general and how they deliver their services to your residents. We bring in an outside team to take a look at all this, and it's all based on best practices in law enforcement in the United States. And I'd like to tell you that the Sheriff's Office does a great job at it, and this is their third time to go through the program under Sheriff Sparrow's leadership. I believe the first time was under Sheriff Sparrow, and they've continued, and we're very proud of that, and I'm here today to present them with their third certificate of accreditation. Sheriff, on behalf of the Police Chiefs Association, congratulations.
Thank you so very much, Sean. I appreciate it, buddy. I want to show this off to each one of y'all so you can get a good look at it.
Okay.
And like you said, this is our third time. We're very proud of that fact in itself. So, thank you. Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Butler. Congratulations, Sheriff.
Thank you so much, Judge. I think I'm next.
All right, we're going to stay with the sheriff here. The sheriff now has his 2017 financial statement. This is the statement of how much money the sheriff's office has generated through its collection of tax revenue and other services provided in the county.
Judge, we're obligated to present this to you, the fiscal court, for the minutes. We've given each one of y'all a copy. If you would like to look at it, take a moment. I'd be glad to answer any question for you.
All right, the statement says the sheriff's office has generated $2,029,347. That money is basically collected from fees, court claims, vehicle inspection, delinquent taxes, and other sources.
That's correct, yes, sir. And I'd also like to point out, Judge, that we're very fortunate here in Oldham County. We have already collected 98% of our taxes for this year from the citizens of Oldham County, residents of Oldham County.
Revenue collected by the sheriff's office pays to operate the sheriff's department.
That's correct.
Magistrate Logston, did you have a question? What? Okay. Forgot my glasses, sorry.
Okay,
Off by $600 there.
all right.
Magistrate Hounds?
Sheriff, and not, I probably should ask this information before. The gun permits, are they up, down?
They're down.
They're down?
So you get every 5 years to
Right.
renew your, and you know, so many people got them last year and a couple of years before that. So it's going to be few more years before we have to get those folks to renew again.
Okay.
And then again, it'll be up again. So right now, this year, we were down by the CCDWs. Yes, sir.
I got one question, please.
Magistrate Likens?
I had a friend of mine that had trouble getting his concealed weapon permit a few weeks ago because he didn't bring us two separate checks, one for your office, one for the
State police.
State police.
That's correct, yeah.
Is there any way that your office would follow the credit card, be able to pay by credit card like the clerk's office can and pass the 3% fee off to the consumer? Would that save
Mr. Likens,
problems
I'm
from
thinking
happening?
we have to have a check for the state police, a separate check, and we have to have a check for the Oldham County Sheriff's Office.
Well, I know
Or
you
is
can
the-
pay, I can pay like my $15 company fee to the Secretary of State by credit card on a
If you do
computer.
it online.
If you do it online.
If you do it
only,
online.
But not in the office.
If you do it in the office, the Kentucky State Treasurer requires a $40 check. They don't want cash mailed to them. If you come into our office and do it, we can either take cash or a check. But if you do it online, that's through a credit card for Kentucky State Police. But then they have to come in and pick the license up in our office, and that's $20 cash or check. All that is on our website.
Well,
All
I
the
understand it on
information's
your
on the
website. I just
website. Not
didn't,
only that, it's on their certificate when they do their training.
But they will
It
not accept,
specifies everything.
they will not accept.
I understand what happened. I'm just saying in the future, it seems like we could go the way the electronic age is today, that people could pay that fee, by credit card
But we're
instead of
working on
having to
that.
bring
We
a
just brought in
physical
credit
check.
cards for the taxes. We're working on bringing in credit cards for everything else.
Thank you.
Because we have to have two different systems, one separate for taxes.
Thank you.
All right, is there, I don't know as though we have to do anything here other than just accept this report. All right, Sheriff, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oops, pardon me, why don't we take the vote on this? It asks me to sign it, so is there a motion that I sign this?
Motion.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Next item has to do with the opening of a bid here for the culvert replacement at Settlers Point. Thank you. Might need these now. I don't know. First bid is from Galusha Contracting of Bowling Green. Bid price not to exceed $82,973. The second bid is from Hornback Construction of Hodgenville. Bid not to exceed $74,900. All right, I'm going to ask our county engineer to take these bids. Look through them. If acceptable, bring them back before the end of the meeting. And here's the other one. That's a low bid, but take the other one as well. And we'll, I think we can award the work today. All right, thank you. The next item that we have to do is to pay the bills. And when we're ready, I'll accept a motion to pay our bills for the last 2 weeks.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on any of them? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Next item on the agenda has to do with contract agreements and resolutions. Item B, this is a resolution for a recycling equipment grant application. Becky Zockline will discuss that.
Thank you, Judge. Once again, the county will be applying for a recycling equipment and education grant. We are usually successful in receiving equipment grants for running our recycling center. So I'm asking today that the court approve the judge signing all the documents required in this grant application and award process.
Judge, I'll make that motion that you sign the request on this grant.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion about this? It's pretty routine circumstance. We do this every year, and we generally are funded every year. The equipment money comes from
The Kentucky
the
Pride,
Kentucky Pride Program.
right,
which is-
and those funds are directly from tipping fees at landfills.
Mr. Greenwell?
Thank you, Judge. And our match can be in-kind services, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a 25% match. And just what we spend at the recycling center can count as a match.
Anyone else? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item, Becky?
Yep, it's for the Household Hazardous Waste Event Grant, again, from the same source of funds. And this is for disposing of hazardous materials such as oil-based paints, pesticides, hazardous chemicals, pool chemicals, things like that, that people may have accumulated throughout the year. And it's strictly for residents to dispose of at this once-a-year event that we have the third Saturday in September. So we're seeking funds for that. Again, there is a 25% match, and that is met through our staff time.
Make a motion, Judge.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Again, it's a routine item. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Judge, before we go, I'd just like to thank Becky Zonkline for the fine job she does in applying for all these grants that she gets. So,
Right.
thank you, Becky.
Right, thank you, Becky. The Belinda Demas now is going to discuss the supplemental agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Spring Hill Trace Sidewalk Project.
Thank you. This is a supplemental agreement number 1 with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the right-of-way phase for the Spring Hill Trace Sidewalk Project in the amount of $167,574 in federal funds. This project is a partnership with the city of Crestwood, and Crestwood is paying all required matching funds for the project, and we're asking fiscal court to allow Judge Vogel to sign the agreement documents.
I'd make that motion, Judge.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this?
I have a question. I believe I read somewhere about this project up in Spring Hill, and I think I've read where they said they're going to put sidewalks on both sides. I thought, when did they change that?
Well, we changed it when we found out, the city of Crestwood, before they came to us and asked us to do this project, had some engineering work done where they looked at it to make sure that the right-of-way was viable for sidewalk on both sides, and got a preliminary cost estimate.
Right.
When we actually got this project authorized and we got engineers assigned by the state, they went in and looked at it and found that it actually was not viable to do it on both sides. It would cost a lot more.
Right.
And that there were drainage and utility issues that would prohibit us from putting it on both sides. So now we're just running it on one side, pretty much to the clubhouse, and then we'll cross the street and connect with the existing sidewalk to the neighborhood behind it.
Yeah, that's what I remember from the public hearing, or
Right.
the public meeting. But I read in I think it was the ERA, had it in there that was on both sides. I said,
That was the initial hope,
Right.
but it just wasn't
so
plausible.
that's a mistake.
Right.
Okay, all right, because I thought they'd have you would have had to had another public meeting to do that.
Right, so no, it will just be one.
Okay, I'm good.
Magistrate Greenwell?
Thank you. Belinda, this is just on the portion of Spring Hill Trace, or does it actually go back into,
It's just along Spring Hill Trace. It won't go branch out into
Okay.
the neighborhood.
Okay.
Right.
Any other discussion on this? All right, all in favor of allowing me to sign this agreement, please say aye.
aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E under contract agreements and resolutions is a memorandum of agreement with Kentucky Wired. Magistrate Eldridge.
Thank you, Judge. This came before the Utilities Committee today, and we voted in the Utilities Committee to bring this out and bring it to the floor. It's a memorandum of understanding between Fiscal Court and technically Kentucky Wired. The actual agreement is with the Kentucky Finance and Administration Cabinet. This is the first step in being able to move forward with getting broadband across the country, across the county. When I say first step, I want that to be very well understood. Somebody said in the meeting, well, let's get internet across the county in a timely manner. No. Kentucky Wired has not started digging in the county. Kentucky Wired, according to who you talk to, is going to get this done very quickly, very slowly, or not at all. But what this allows us to do is while they're putting the trunk line in, the county itself would acquire an extra amount of cable. That will give us the ability in the future to have more people able to get good broadband service. It'll give us the ability in the future to perhaps supply all of the county buildings with better and cheaper broadband service. So basically what we're doing is they're building the highway. We're getting a couple of extra lanes at no extra charge to us outside of the actual stuff itself. I think it's a no-brainer. John Carter has reviewed the memorandum of understanding. You all have all had it in your packet. I also want to thank a local gentleman by the name of Norrin Shippert. He has done a great job of assisting us with this, far more knowledgeable about it than any of us on the committee, so I appreciate his help with that. So I would make a motion, Judge, that we allow you to sign the memorandum of understanding.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Magistrate Likens.
I'm talking a lot today. Kevin, when you said putting in extra cable, is there a cost to us for that, or is it just dropping a extra cable in the same ditch that they dig?
There is no construction cost. We do have to pay for the actual cable, or fiber actually, that
Okay.
goes in. Our
Okay.
only expense will be in the fiber and some engineering costs. Currently, with a very, very preliminary bid, it looks like a little over $300,000. But again, basically this is a placeholder to get us in line to where we can get actual figures.
I agree, it's a no-brainer just to put extra line in their already excavated ditch. Thank you.
Well, what we have here is, I'm not going to correct anything you said, but I'm going to amplify on it and say that it's not to bring broadband entirely to the county. We have that service here now, but we have areas where the service doesn't exist at all or is very spotty. Isn't good. Having this backbone come through to serve all state agencies is going to allow us to piggyback on that and be able to extend out into low service and no service areas, have the opportunity for us to set up a system that outside vendors are going to be able to access through our permission to go out to other places where there isn't good service now. Right now, we do get a lot of complaints about the spectrum in some parts of the county. Certain areas have nothing at all. Some are trying to do it with satellite. It's a hodgepodge of provided service in a way that you wouldn't expect in Oldham County. But we're not unique in that sense. This service is spotty throughout the Commonwealth and through many states across the country. People are trying to find better ways to bring broadband service into their community. And I appreciate Norm, who's here today, who could answer any questions. He's an expert on broadband service and the distribution of it. It's a big project. It's going to take a while. We get people hearing about this and say, well, I want to do this next week. No, it's going to take a while to unfold, but what we're laying down here is a path for the next 50 years. So it won't be be able to be installed in the next, 5 months. But it's something for the long haul. We're not going to be caught short. We're going to be out in front of this project, and it's going to help draw more better employment to Oldham County, possibly. It's going to give us a unique amount of extra capacity that we only have one opportunity to access, and that's when Kentucky Wired, the wires come through Oldham County will have a chance to piggyback on the distribution of that service. And it's a one-time only opportunity. So what we're doing here now is hiring an engineer through Kentucky Wired to help lay out how the service will operate in the county, where the distribution points may begin, and then other services are going to be able to probably access that in the long run and extend service in the neighborhoods where we don't have any now or have very spotty or poor service. I hear complaints about, or comments about kids getting a lot of schoolwork. Some have to go to the rest stop at Pendleton to access the Wi-Fi at McDonald's to do their homework. Well, that's not a service that, or a situation we want to continue a day longer than it absolutely has to. So this is the first step in what's going to be, a several long mile road to travel, but we're going to get there. So does anybody have any other questions or comments about this? Kevin Nuss has done a tremendous amount of work pulling this together. I've also had a broadband task force that has met several times since last summer to try to help get our head around this and learn what we can do to lay the path out for the best result for Oldham County for the long term. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of moving forward with this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on our agenda has to do with Parks Committee. Magistrate Eldridge.
Yes, in Bob Leslie's absence, he is the chair of that committee. He has asked me to bring this forward. We have two items that we need to vote on. The first one is to allow the LaGrange Farmers Market. Russ Morris does a great job of that. He's brought forward wanting to use the courthouse yard from May to October. There will be a couple of exceptions to that, like always, one for Arts on the Green, one for Oldham County Day. So I would make a motion out of our committee that we allow the LaGrange Farmers Market to use the courthouse yard.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that? The farmers market's doing a great job. Russ, could you come forward just a second? I would like to ask you just a question or two about it. We're all in favor of promoting locally grown foods in Oldham County and the surrounding area. How are we doing with local producers?
Well, as you know, the market's grown over the years. One thing we noticed last year that our senior citizens seem to be falling out a little bit. We're seeing a lot more younger families come aboard, so which is great. And I think the courthouse square is a drawing power for the community. A lot of people are looking for smaller towns, smaller communities, and they're gravitating to our Saturday market. So I appreciate you guys, or appreciate the court giving us the opportunity to use such a lovely square.
Right. Well, we're glad to have you out there and appreciate as many area producers as you can generate to come. And I notice you've also expanded with not knickknacks, but the hobbies and soap making and things that are not exactly growing in the ground, but are still valuable local commodities.
You try to have a drawing card for not only our local community, but you do have several tourists come through town. And they can't take perishables home, but they will stop by the artisan groups and what have you. And the artisans appreciate it also. But we do limit the number of artisans. We limit it to no more than 25% of the total complement of vendors we have. So since it's mainly a farmer's market, we try to keep it that way. But still, you want to draw people, whether it be out of Cincinnati or even out of Wisconsin or even California. They love to stop by the market. But again, we appreciate you offering this venue to us.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anything else?
Anybody else have anything? All right.
Thank you.
All right. It's always a nice Saturday morning at the farmers market. All right. No other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Next item has to do with, Kevin, are you going to take that one too here?
The next item that came before the Parks Board is from Pastor Ryan Beebe of LaGrange Baptist Church. This is an item we've done, I think this is the third year. On the week of Vacation Bible School, they come up and just have a family event on the courthouse square. The date they want to do it is June 20th, 6 to 8. And if the rain event, it would be June 21st, 6 to 8, and that is 6 to 8 p.m. I'd make that motion.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Motion carries. Now we have an erosion control bond to release. County Engineer Scott Harris.
Good afternoon, Court. We have reviewed the request for a Verizon wireless erosion control bond release at the Pleasant Colony Court location and have approved it. We find everything to be in order and recommend to the court that this bond be released.
All right, is there
I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
any discussion on that? The bond's $27,179 returned to them. All right. Magistrate Greenwell?
Thank you, Judge. Scott, this is a pretty easy one, wasn't it? Because it put it in the middle of an existing development, and so it shouldn't have been a big,
Yep, it was pretty straightforward.
would think so.
Yep. And they were really well to work with.
Good.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right? Pardon? Yes. All right. Scott has looked through the, looked through the paperwork for the Settlers Point culvert bid, and Hornback Construction Company has met all of our requirements. It's $74,900 maximum charge. Is there a motion that we accept?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. All right,
I
I'd
did
like
have
to
a
get
late
going on
question
that.
since I got Scott. Did we have an estimate on that culvert, Scott? I think that was right on our,
I'm sorry?
I think that estimate, the cost of that was right about the original engineer's estimate.
They're actually, both were low. These two have been battling each other, as I understand it, across the state, quite sharpening their pencils. So we were the
Great.
beneficiaries of that. So,
And do you know when they're going to start?
well, it has to be after the weather breaks because we, the county, are participating in this using our trucks, our road department trucks, to haul the muck out, haul the gravel back, and we're set in snow plow and salt mode. So, and plus the ground's
It
frozen.
should be late spring.
It
March,
should be
April.
early spring. Yeah.
Well, we're anxious to get going on this, and this is part of the 80/20 bridge program. State will pay 80% of this. We'll be responsible for 20, and we're trying to use our own forces, the work that we charge off against our own forces as part of that 20%. Right.
Great job, Scott.
All right, thank you. That's a real good number for us. All right, next item is personnel, and Ms. Schaaf.
Good afternoon. We have one personnel action, and that is a termination of Daniel Workman Jr. at the Community Center effective February 2nd.
So moved.
All right, moved and seconded that Mr. Daniel Workman, the community center position be terminated. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
All right, we're going in a moment move into executive session. Is there anybody who has come in who would like to address the court? We'll be in executive session for a little while. We won't be taking probably any action when we come out of there. But we have a couple items to discuss, but I'd like to give anybody an opportunity who would like to speak now before we do that, to do so now. Seeing no one, we're going to ask that we go into executive session per KRS 61.810B, deliberations on the future acquisition of real estate, and also on KRS 61.810C, deliberations regarding pending litigation. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, we stand adjourned.